welcome to my channel. Thank you for being present with me. This is an interesting topic to explore at this time. So a couple of weeks ago, I heard a channeled message from a galactic, one of these galactic YouTube channels, and it really hit me that the teaching of divine neutrality is at risk of being a false teaching. And I want to put this out there as a conversation, as a starting point, just to feel into why. Okay, I'm going to follow a little bit of my guidance as it drops in now. So this is me connecting with my higher self, my oversoul, my monadic connection to source. So what is coming through for me is true and is real, and what wants to be spoken in first is alignment, is divine alignment, and the importance of divine alignment in this time of misinformation, miscommunication, and programming through media, the control systems, but more astutely social media channels and spiritual guidance. There's a lot that I struggle with in terms of listening to spiritual guides, teachings, and I think that's because I've had my own galactic experiences that have taught me to discern and be super careful about what I take on board, what's true and what's real for me. So my radar is pretty strong. I also work quite intensely. I have done since I was in my late 20s with clients. So I'm used to attuning to. I'm used to using my body, which I describe as my technology, to be able to feel in. So the gift of empathy is highly strong and activated within me. So that helps me to attune to what feels clean, pure, which where as a healer, I'm always supporting people to move into transformation, release from distortion, false matrix teachings, and so on. And there's a lot of spiritual hijack. There has always been siphoning of light energy. So we see this with the journey of empaths and narcissists. We see it everywhere. There's a distinct dimming of people's light in order for I'm going to call it darkness for now, to feel comfortable, to maintain a sense of status and control. So the light doesn't require status. The light is in its purity and in its essence, it just is what it is. It has personal authority without dominion, without holding power over or holding control over other. And so there is a war on consciousness now, and it's important for us not to be in some ways part of that war, but to observe it, observe where it has its hooks and its attachment, where our internal attachment is to that dance that's going on between the light and the dark. And in that way, divine neutrality has its gifts, it has its benefits, because it enables us to be observers. And yet, anything that we are bypassing, anything that we are not seeing, anything that we are in avoidance to, we don't have the ability to transform and to transmute. So it remains in the human collective, it remains in our the one human soul consciousness, or it and still gets played out upon humanity. So being in avoidance to something or being in resistance to something doesn't enable the healing process of transformation and transmutation to occur. It's just we're just looking the other way. And that takes me to, an example of if you see something that is off or wrong, do we just look the other way? I'm dropping back into the school playground There's a story. When I was younger, and school bully picking on actually one of my brother's friends, years younger. And I didn't just walk away. It was not okay, right? And so I interacted, moved toward this situation, which was painful and difficult for me, which didn't go great. I ended up in confrontation. I ended up in the headmaster's office, being told off for interfering, and so on. But huge life lesson there for me as a child in terms of actually what is right, what's right and what's wrong. Do we just need to go into self-preservation and protection? Do we need to look the other way and pretend it's not happening? Or is that a collective pain that we are sensing and feeling as part of the one? And I'm not saying, just to be clear, that it's always about intervening, but I am saying that we need to see. And if there is an inspired action or a loving, compassionate action that is driving and moving something into a course correction, bringing something back into light, back into wholeness, then isn't that the highest path? I just put that out there. Isn't it the right thing to do? Not from a place of judgment and obligation, other false teachings, but through a sense of if your heart is calling to step forward, which, of all of the, if we call them battles out there or discords, not everything is for us. Okay, there are some things that are not for us, but there are some things that will resonate within your internal construct of the things that you're here to transmute, to transform, your own patterns, belief systems, and patterns, perhaps old archetypes, old soul memory traumas that you are here to course correct. You're here to bring into transmutation and healing so that you can release that, so it's not in your field, and so that you can empower yourself back into wholeness, back into your highest expression, into light. So I I'm going to lay down this path going forward. I'm just being shown a path going forward here. So, where divine neutrality has been spoken in as stepping back, holding neutral space, not having feelings about something, or kind of clearing or purifying, transmuting feelings around something. Part of me wants to say that's okay, but I think the whole point of this video is that if it's not for you, and there's a disengagement there, and that's for your highest good, great. It's for us individually to discern what is right and what's wrong. I'm just wanting to bring in a dialogue about mindfulness of pathway forward, because if we see something that is, or we don't let ourselves look, if we allow ourselves to look, or we allow ourselves to listen to the feeling, the emotion, and we can get a sense of something that is heavy, that is so part of the density, part of the false teaching, and we are rubbing up against that, it means it's impacting us in some way. On some way, in some level, there's a resonance there for us to tend to. And so to think a higher thought, to feel a higher feeling, to shift one's vibrational frequency is all well and good, but this thing doesn't get healed. It doesn't get dealt with. So yes, we need light holders on the planet and frequency holders on the planet, but generally, authentically, the truest light workers and frequency holders on the planet are the ones that have purified, they have cleansed, which means they have gone into the shadows, they have gone into the dark, they've gone into their pains, they've gone into victimhood programs, gone into shame, blame programs, torture's coming up. Many of us have been through torture, through previous incarnations, other times, spaces, and so on. So, it's not to re-torture. And I know that's a heavy word, But I just want to be honest with what we're moving through right now. There is torture on this planet. There has been. And in order to transform that, in order to disengage from and heal the energies of war and empowerment, not empowerment, sorry, overpowering energies, we have to transform and we have to transmute these really persecution feelings of torture, of victimhood, of separation. Um, whether it's on a bullying scale or whether it's, a difficult memory or something that we're observing. So there's a huge imbalance on the earth right now that we are mopping up. And to bring everything into divine neutrality without actually going into neutralizing the thing that we're trying to bring into divine neutrality is a problem, because this cleanup path that we are collectively working through won't get done. So this video may be for you, it may not be for you if you're still here and interested or curious. And thank you for staying with this. I know that this is not easy, and acknowledging that you probably then are on a path of the cleanup mission for humanity, which starts as an inside job with the cleaning up of your own programs and patterns and traumas and difficulties. So just to acknowledge that this has been lifetimes in the making. My childhood was relatively good. And yet I still process a lot of trauma through previous lives. This is where we integrate the higher self on this journey of ascension. So, and it's in the collective field, and I can see it, I can feel it, and I rub up against it. And it's not to have to take on what's not yours, but we are one collective energy. So where it touches you, where it touches your life, just be mindful that if we are to clean up this operation, which is why it's taking so long, which is why there is no savior coming in, which is why it's a groundswell, it's a inside job. This is the work. It's transmuting through the being with the difficult and the uncomfortable, and the bringing of the divine light in so that we can unhook from the archonic and false matrix programs, the energy siphoning, all those that are doing harm to humanity, whether that is through the poisoning of our air, our foods, our waters, energy, the 5G, the medications. We are subject to being diminished, to having our pineal glands closed down and blocked, so we cannot access, or it's harder to access our light. And yet this is our divine birthright. And so it takes a passion, and it takes a commitment, and it takes a dedication to sit in your center, to sit in your light, to choose to activate, to get yourself on the divine path, and to release that which we perceived to be powerful, but is no more powerful than who we are as human beings, connected to the God source, connected to divine consciousness. This is our power, and it's embodying now, which is clearing this density, as I've spoken about before. So I just am urging you, if you're listening, if this is connecting with you, just sit with it, feel it, breathe it, be the light within it, and you will move through. You will move through. This is it is a collective journey. There is support. Reach out to whoever you feel called to, whoever resonates with you, to support you on your journey. But the way we transmute is to move through it, is to create safety for ourselves and to create support for ourselves, and to come back into alignment with that which is pure, that which is true, that which is love. And that's enough to hold us. That is our power, and that is our gift. And that does transmute that which is not self. So our ancestors who have been through war have got, some of these traumas, pains, and we carry that as imprints within ourselves. And we are undoing that now. We are releasing that. So we don't have to be on one side or the other. Throughout history, we have been split between this or this. And we've been placed through the psychological programs, the psyops, to be this or this. We can choose not to be that. But that doesn't mean coming into divine neutrality where we just avoid it. It means actively choosing to process and clear that which is painful and difficult. And we can embody this so that this can dissolve and it is no longer in our field, in our collective field. And what is true and pure and strong in terms of our light and our love and our beauty, divine grace, is what is left, is what emanates, and is what expands and brings peace to the world. So I'm just going to check in to see if there is any other message around divine neutrality. So it's just been spoken in relation to this savior complex. And some false teachings around sacrifice. So we've got false teachings around sacrifice, that it is an honorable thing to do to sacrifice oneself. It is not. It is not. That maintains the power structures. We are not here to sacrifice ourselves. That's a false teaching of Yeshua, of Jesus. It is the true teachings is the being love in the world. It's the peace embodied, but it is the standing. There is standing there for what is righteous in terms of divine and true. Not I'm right, you're wrong, but just standing in the truth of what is, in a knowing, in a knowing of a knowing thyself as your essence, as your being, as your light. When we sacrifice ourselves, we are disempowered in so many ways, and we are giving potential power away to the Savior. So if divine grace flows through you, what is your inspired action to be part of this cleansing and part of this shift? I think maybe that's it. It's just sitting with that. So a natural empowerment that starts from inside. And moves us into oneness, because that is being of service to self and service to all. We cannot take the self out of it, because this is why we're here. We're here to become whole. We're here to connect with the higher self, the many incarnations that we've had while we've been caught in this misfiring kind of system, and to bring it back into divine alignment through the healing and any attachment to that which has been distorted but is held unprocessed, without resolution and without support or acknowledgement. So acknowledge everything that you are moving through, witness everything that you are moving through, bring love into everything that you are moving through, and invite divine grace, your family of light, to hold you and to support you for your highest good at all times. And all I'm left seeing is this groundswell of awakening, this groundswell of beauty and of love. Okay. Love for now. Take it. Leave it. Be mindful when you hear divine neutrality being spoken. Because I think divine neutrality is not avoidance. It's not just choosing the light. It is allowing connection with, releasing resistance. All healing comes from releasing resistance. And transmuting, bringing light, love to the parts that are carrying the wounds. And this is how we heal and become whole. All right. Love for now.